On Asia Down Under today, two Chinese artists with two very different styles. Auckland diocesan schools celebrate ethnic diversity with a fun fashion show. And super cool jazz from two super cool young brothers. Hello and welcome to another episode of Asia Down Under. Our first story today is a plea for help. A young Chinese university graduate is desperately fighting for his life since being diagnosed with leukemia. He urgently needs a compatible bone marrow transplant. Glenna has that story.
"29-year-old Yan Chen came to New Zealand in February 2008 from Beijing to complete his master's degree in film, TV and media studies at the University of Auckland. But life had other plans. A medical exam for immigration revealed something was terribly wrong and Yan was told to see a hematologist.
When I arrived at a specialist, I began to realize how serious the problem was.
The doctor ordered a bone marrow test for Yan.
What we found that Yan has is the bone marrow is not growing properly. It's not making proper blood cells. It's making other blood cells which aren't quite as valuable. And in fact, overall, it's not making enough blood cells.
I was diagnosed with myelodysplastic syndrome. I was so scared to death. At that time, I cried a lot. I thought it was so unfair. Why me?
But finding out about his illness was not the hardest part.
I told my mother, okay, I have to tell you a bad news, but you have to promise me you'll keep strong. My mother said, okay, I promise you I will be strong. Then I told her the bad news. Yeah, at that time, it was totally silent. Then my mother burst into cry. Yeah. And I could not control myself at all. And I cried.
就跟晴天霹雳呢，天给我塌下来了，没法自持。 哎呀，想象不到那个难，很难很难。
What Yan desperately needs now is a bone marrow transplant.
The blood is made in the bone marrow, so if we could give Yan somebody else's bone marrow, that somebody else's bone marrow would work for him and help his blood be normal.
But first, Yan had to go through a round of chemotherapy to abate the leukemia. And since there were no beds available at the Auckland City Hospital, Yan had to move to Christchurch. He now lives at the Cancer Society's Daffodil House, where he can stay for free while he gets his treatment. But it's not just his body that needs healing. Yan also had to come to terms with his fate.
That's a painful process to accept the fact, but you have to do that because because I'm going to have a lot of treatment. So if I always think about why, then I cannot concentrate on my treatment.
Yan is grateful that his mother, who came here as soon as she could, is able to help him get through the ordeal.
明天给陈燕做点饭，他喜欢吃的。哎呀，别的在这个地方也没办法做。
Parents can never be bone marrow donors to their children because individually they only form half of their child's genetic makeup. Yan does have a brother, but he is not a match either. Finding a match is a difficult task because ethnicity is a critical factor. Worldwide, there are 13.5 million people on the International Registry of Bone Marrow Donors. But they're mostly of European descent. The situation is no different in New Zealand.
In our 10,000 names, near 10,000, about 300 are very loosely termed from Asia. And we are very keen to recruit donors in New Zealand from anybody who has the trace of anybody who's not European in their... So any part of a person that's not European in their ancestry makes that person an attractive person for us to recruit.
The good news is 2 possible matches have been located for Yan, but they're yet to be confirmed. In the meantime, all treatment for Yan has to be put on hold.
I think that's the life. Not everything has an answer or has a result. Now, I think my family and I are strong enough to fight against the illness.
If you would like to help Yen and thousands of others in need of a bone marrow donor, please contact the Bone Marrow Registry. There is a great need for donors of Asian, Polynesian, and Maori descent.